I hear the words before I process them. You're replaceable. My boss, Richard, says it casually, almost cheerfully, as if he's commenting on the weather. We're in the conference room, the entire marketing team gathered around the table for our Monday morning meeting. 8 faces turn toward me, some shocked, some carefully neutral, all suddenly very interested in their coffee cups. I'm sorry. My voice comes out smaller than I intended. Replaceable, Richard repeats, leaning back in his chair with the confidence of someone who's never doubted his own importance. Let's be honest, Mara. What you do here is social media management, content calendars, engagement metrics. It's not exactly rocket science. We could train an intern to do your job in a week. The air in the room goes still. Jessica, the graphic designer, looks like she wants to say something but doesn't. Tom, the copywriter, stares at his laptop screen. No one meets my eyes. I've been managing our top 3 accounts for 2 years, I say quietly. Our engagement has increased by 300%. Our client retention is numbers anyone could achieve with the right strategy, Richard interrupts, waving his hand dismissively. Which, let's be clear, I developed. You just execute. There's a difference between being strategic and being operational, Mara. You're operational. Operational is replaceable. My face burns. I want to argue, to defend myself, to list every late night I've spent crafting campaigns, every crisis I've managed, every client relationship I've built from nothing. But the words stick in my throat, trapped behind the humiliation of being diminished in front of my colleagues. I just want to make sure we all understand our roles here, Richard continues, addressing the room now. We're a team, yes, but not all positions carry the same weight. Some of you are essential to this agency's success. Others are support staff. He doesn't look at me when he says it, but everyone knows who he means. The meeting continues discussions of upcoming campaigns, client deadlines, budget allocations. I sit silently, taking notes I'll never read, trying to keep my hands from shaking. When it finally ends, people file out quickly, avoiding eye contact, as if my humiliation might be contagious. Jessica lingers by the door. Mara, it's fine. I say, gathering my things. It's not fine. He had no right, Jessica, please. I just want to get back to work. She leaves, and I'm alone in the conference room, staring at the whiteboard where Richard has written the agency's mission statement. Excellence through innovation. Value through partnership. I wonder if he sees the irony. My desk is in the corner of the open office, tucked away near the supply closet. It's not a bad location, I actually prefer the quiet, but it's symbolic. The important people sit near the windows, in the spaces with natural light and views of the city. I sit where visitors don't see me, where clients don't notice me, where I can be forgotten. Replaceable. I open my laptop and stare at my inbox. 43 unread emails, most of them from clients asking questions, requesting changes, needing reassurance. I've built relationships with these people over months and years, learning their brands, understanding their voices, anticipating their needs before they articulate them. But according to Richard, anyone could do this. An intern could do this. My phone buzzes. A text from my mother. How's work, honey? I don't respond. How do I explain that I just sat through a meeting where my boss told everyone that I don't matter? That my 2 years of work, my late nights and weekends, my careful attention to detail and relationship building can be replicated by someone with a week of training? Another email arrives. This one from Vivian Chen, the CEO of Lumina Cosmetics, our biggest client. The subject line reads, Urgent campaign crisis. My stomach drops. I open it. Mara, we have a situation. Our competitor just launched a campaign that's eerily similar to what we discussed for our fall launch. I need to talk strategy ASAP. Can you call me? I check the time. It's barely 9:30, but Vivian is on the West Coast, so it's early for her too. This must be serious. I dial her number, and she answers on the first ring. Mara, thank God. Vivian's voice is tight with stress. Have you seen Radiance's new campaign? Not yet. What happened? They launched this morning. Same demographic target, same messaging about natural beauty and sustainability, same aesthetic we've been planning for months. It's like they had our strategy deck. She pauses. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. but the timing is suspicious. And now I'm wondering if we need to completely pivot our approach. I'm already pulling up Radiance's website, scanning their new campaign. She's right, the similarities are striking. Not identical, but close enough to make our planned launch look derivative. Okay, I say, my mind already working through options. Don't panic. This actually might be an opportunity. An opportunity? Mara, they beat us to market with our own concept, with a version of our concept. But we can do it better. We can go deeper, more authentic, more specific. I'm pacing now, ideas forming faster than I can articulate them. What if instead of broad messaging about natural beauty, we focus on individual stories, real customers, real experiences, real transformations, not models, not influencers, actual people. Vivian is quiet for a moment. Keep talking. Radiance went glossy and aspirational. We go raw and real. User-generated content, testimonials before and afters that aren't airbrushed into oblivion. We make it a movement, not a campaign. We make customers the heroes, not the products. The words are flowing now. The humiliation from this morning temporarily forgotten. And we launch it on TikTok and Instagram Reels first, not traditional media. We meet our audience where they already are, speaking their language, using their format. That's actually brilliant. Vivian's voice has shifted from stressed to excited. How fast can you put together a proposal? I can have something to you by end of day. Do it. And Mara, thank you. This is why you're the best. We hang up, and I sit down at my desk, energized despite everything. This is what I do. This is what Richard thinks anyone could do: see problems as opportunities, understand clients deeply enough to anticipate their needs, pivot strategies in real time while maintaining brand integrity. Replaceable. I spend the next 8 hours building the proposal. I pull case studies, mock up sample content, create a timeline and budget, outline metrics for success. I barely stop for lunch, surviving on coffee and the granola bar I find in my desk drawer. By 5 o'clock, I have a 30-page deck that I'm genuinely proud of. I send it to Vivian with a note. Let me know what you think. Happy to revise. Her response comes 10 minutes later. This is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Can you present this to my executive team tomorrow? They need to see this. My heart skips. Of course. What time? AM Pacific. I'll send the video call link. And Mara, I'm going to tell them this campaign was your idea. Because it was. I close my laptop and lean back in my chair, exhausted but satisfied. Around me, the office has mostly emptied. A few people remain, hunched over their computers, finishing work before heading home. Richard walks past my desk without acknowledging me, his briefcase in hand, already on his phone with someone more important. I think about this morning, about being called replaceable in front of my colleagues, about the casual cruelty of being told my work doesn't matter. And I think about Vivian's email, about the campaign I just created, about the presentation tomorrow that could change everything for our biggest client. Maybe Richard is right. Maybe I am replaceable, but not today. Not with this client. Not with this work. I pack up my things and head home. And for the first time since this morning, I feel something other than humiliation. I feel ready. I arrive at the office the next morning 30 minutes early. I need time to prepare, to review my notes, to make sure everything is perfect for the presentation with Vivian's executive team. The office is quiet at this hour, just the hum of computers left on overnight and the distant sound of the cleaning crew finishing their rounds. I make coffee in the break room, the ritual calming my nerves, and settle at my desk to run through the presentation one more time. At 9 o'clock, people start arriving. Jessica waves at me from across the room. Tom nods as he passes. No one mentions yesterday's meeting, and I'm grateful for the silence. Richard arrives at 9:15, his usual time, carrying his usual overpriced coffee from the cafe downstairs. He doesn't look at me as he walks to his office, already on his phone, already important. I check my email. Vivian has sent the video call link along with a note. My CMO, CFO, and VP of Brand Strategy will be joining. They're excited to hear your ideas. My stomach flutters. This is bigger than I thought. These aren't just executives, they're the people who make final decisions about campaigns, budgets, and agency partnerships. At 9:45, I move to one of the small conference rooms we use for client calls. I set up my laptop, test the audio and video, pull up my presentation deck. Everything is ready. Richard appears in the doorway. "What are you doing?" he asks. "Client call. Lumina Cosmetics. 10 o'clock. His eyebrows rise. "I didn't see that on the calendar. Vivian requested it yesterday. It's about their fall campaign. There's been a complication with a competitor launch, and she asked for you specifically." He sounds skeptical. "Yes." He frowns, clearly displeased that a major client meeting is happening without his knowledge or involvement. "I should probably sit in. Lumina is our biggest account. Any strategic decisions should go through me." My heart sinks. Of course he wants to take over. Of course he can't let me have this moment. Vivian specifically asked to speak with me, I say carefully, about the campaign strategy I sent her yesterday. "The strategy you sent her?" His tone sharpens. "Mara, you know all client communications are supposed to be reviewed by me before they go out. That's protocol. It was urgent. She needed a response immediately. That's not how we operate." He steps into the room, pulling out a chair. "I'll join the call. We can present together." I want to argue. I want to tell him that this is my work, my relationship with this client, my moment. But I know how this goes. If I push back, he'll make my life miserable. He'll find ways to undermine me, to take credit, to remind everyone, especially me, that I'm replaceable. So I say nothing. At exactly 10 o'clock, the video call connects. Vivian appears on screen, along with 3 other people, 2 women and a man, all dressed in the sharp, expensive way that signals executive-level success. "Mara." Vivian's face lights up. "Thank you so much for making time for this. I want to introduce you to..." She stops, noticing Richard in the frame. "Oh, Richard, I didn't realize you'd be joining. I thought it would be helpful to have senior leadership involved in strategic discussions," Richard says smoothly, his client-facing smile firmly in place. Mara mentioned there was a campaign issue. Vivian's expression shifts subtly, not quite a frown, but a cooling of her initial warmth. "Yes, well, Mara already solved it. That's why we're here. I want her to present her proposal to my executive team." "Of course," Richard says. "We're happy to walk you through it." "Actually," Vivian says, and her tone is polite but firm, "I'd like to hear from Mara. She's the one who developed the strategy." The silence that follows is pointed. Richard's smile doesn't waver, but I see his jaw tighten. "Absolutely," he says. "Mara, why don't she take the lead?" I share my screen and begin the presentation. My voice is steady despite my nerves, and as I walk through the strategy, the pivot from aspirational to authentic, the focus on user-generated content, the TikTok-first approach, I can see the executives leaning forward, engaged. "This is exactly what we need," the CMO says when I finish. She's a woman in her 50s with silver hair and sharp eyes. It's fresh, it's relevant, and it completely differentiates us from Radiance. The budget is reasonable too, the CFO adds, scrolling through the deck, and the timeline is aggressive but achievable. "I love the authenticity angle," the VP of Brand Strategy says. "It aligns perfectly with where we want to take the brand long term. This isn't just a campaign, it's a repositioning." Vivian is smiling now, the stress from yesterday completely gone. "So we're green-lighting this?" The 3 executives exchange glances, then nod in unison. "Absolutely," the CMO says. "Let's move forward. Mara, can you start pulling together the production team?" "Of course," I say, trying to keep the excitement out of my voice. "I can have a full implementation plan to you by Friday." "Perfect." Vivian turns to address Richard, who's been silent for the past 10 minutes. "Richard, I want to make sure Mara is the lead on this project. She understands our brand voice better than anyone, and my team trusts her judgment." "Naturally," Richard says, but his smile has gone tight. "Mara is an excellent executor. We're lucky to have her." Executor. The word lands like a slap, a reminder of yesterday's meeting. Operational, not strategic. Replaceable. But Vivian's expression shifts, and I see something flash in her eyes, recognition, maybe, or irritation. "Actually, Richard, I'd say Mara is more than an executor. She's a strategist. This entire campaign concept came from her, the positioning, the platform strategy, the content approach. That's strategic thinking." Vivian's voice is pleasant but pointed. "In fact, I'd like to discuss expanding our contract to include more strategic consulting from Mara specifically. The room, both physical and virtual, goes very quiet. Richard recovers quickly. That's something we can certainly explore. I'll have our contracts team reach out to discuss scope and pricing. Good. Vivian checks her watch. I need to jump to another meeting. But Mara, let's schedule a follow-up for later this week. Just you and me, to nail down the production details. Sounds perfect, I say. The call ends, and I close my laptop slowly, not quite believing what just happened. Vivian didn't just approve my campaign, she publicly credited me for it. In front of her executive team. In front of Richard. Richard stands abruptly. My office. Now. I follow him across the open workspace, feeling eyes on us. He closes the door behind me, and the pleasant client-facing mask drops immediately. What the hell was that? He demands. I don't understand. You went directly to the client without my approval. You developed an entire campaign strategy without consulting me. You made me look uninformed in front of our biggest account. His face is red now. Anger barely contained. Do you have any idea how unprofessional that is? Vivian reached out to me directly, I say, keeping my voice level. She had an urgent crisis. I responded, that's my job. Your job is to execute the strategies I develop. Your job is to manage day-to-day client communications, not to position yourself as a strategic consultant. He leans against his desk, arms crossed. You overstepped, Mara. Significantly. I solved the problem. I saved a campaign. I gave the client exactly what they needed. My hands are shaking, but I keep them at my sides, refusing to show weakness. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? What you're supposed to do is stay in your lane. His voice drops, becomes colder. I told you yesterday you're operational. That means you take direction, you execute plans, you support the strategic team. You don't go rogue and try to position yourself as something you're not. The words hit harder than they should. Something I'm not. Vivian seems to think I'm strategic enough. I say quietly. Vivian is a client. She doesn't understand agency hierarchy or how teams function. She sees someone responsive and mistakes that for strategic thinking. He straightens, adjusting his tie. But I understand. And I'm telling you right now, this doesn't happen again. All client communications go through me. All strategy development goes through me. You want to contribute ideas? Fine. Bring them to me first, and I'll decide if they're worth presenting. I stare at him, understanding finally settling over me like cold water. He's not angry that I went around him. He's angry that I succeeded without him. He's angry that the client asked for me by name. He's angry that I proved I'm not replaceable after all. Is that clear? Richard asks. Crystal clear, I say. Good. Now get back to work and send me that implementation plan before you send it to Vivian. I want to review it first. I leave his office and return to my desk, my whole body trembling with suppressed emotion. Around me, the office has gone carefully quiet, people pretending to work while clearly listening to every word of the confrontation they couldn't quite hear but definitely noticed. Jessica appears beside my desk, her voice low. Are you okay? I'm fine. That was bullshit. What he said yesterday, what he just did now, all of it. She glances toward Richard's office. You know that, right? You know you're not just operational or whatever dismissive label he's using today. It doesn't matter what I know. It matters what he thinks. No. Jessica says firmly. It matters what the client thinks. And the client just told everyone on that call that you're strategic, that you're valuable, that they want to work with you specifically. She squeezes my shoulder. Don't let him take that away from you. After she leaves, I sit at my desk, staring at my computer screen without really seeing it. Vivian's words echo in my mind. I'd like to discuss expanding our contract to include more strategic consulting from Mara specifically. Richard's response. You're replaceable. Two completely opposite assessments of my worth, my skills, my value. And I realize something that makes my chest tight with a mixture of fear and possibility. One of them is wrong, and I'm starting to suspect it's not Vivian. The rest of the day passes in a blur of emails and tasks, but my mind keeps circling back to the same question. What happens now? I've proven myself to the client, but I've also humiliated my boss unintentionally, but the result is the same. Richard isn't the type to forgive or forget. He'll find ways to make me pay for today, subtle ways that can't be traced back to him directly. By 6 o'clock, most of the office has cleared out. I'm finishing the implementation plan Richard demanded to see, making sure every detail is perfect, when my phone rings. It's Vivian. I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time, she says. Not at all. I'm just wrapping up the implementation plan. Good. Listen, I wanted to talk to you privately, without Richard on the call. She pauses, and I hear her close a door on her end. What happened after we hung up? He looked furious. I hesitate. Complaining about my boss to a client feels dangerous, unprofessional, but Vivian's tone is genuinely concerned, not fishing for gossip. He was unhappy that I went directly to you without his approval. I say carefully. Unhappy. Vivian's voice is dry. That's diplomatic. Mara, I've worked with your agency for 3 years. I've worked with Richard specifically, and I'm going to be honest with you, he takes credit for work he doesn't do, and he undermines people who threaten his position. My breath catches. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. I'm saying it. I hear her sigh. When we first signed with your agency, Richard promised me personalized attention, innovative strategies, deep brand understanding. What I got was generic campaigns and a manager who clearly didn't care about our business. Then you were assigned to our account about 18 months ago, and everything changed. I remember that transition. Richard had been too busy with what he called higher priority clients and had dumped Lumina on me with barely any briefing. I'd spent weeks learning everything I could about their brand, their competitors, their customers. You transformed our social media presence, Vivian continues. Our engagement tripled. Our brand sentiment improved dramatically. Our sales from social channels increased by 200%. And every time I asked Richard about strategy, it was clear the ideas were coming from you. Not him. He's the creative director, I say. He oversees everything. Oversees. That's a nice word for taking credit. Her voice softens. Mara, I'm telling you this because I want you to understand something. When I said I want to expand our contract to include strategic consulting from you specifically, I wasn't being polite. I was being literal. My executive team agrees we want you leading our campaigns, not Richard. My heart is pounding now. I don't think Richard would agree to that structure. Then maybe we need to discuss whether Richard needs to be involved at all. The words hang in the air between us, heavy with implication. What do you mean? I ask, though I think I know. I mean that Lumina Cosmetics pays your agency a substantial retainer, nearly $500,000 annually. That gives me leverage, and I'm prepared to use it. She pauses. I'm going to have a conversation with your agency's CEO. I'm going to tell her that our continued partnership is contingent on you being our primary point of contact and lead strategist, not Richard. You, Vivian. I appreciate that, but nothing. You've earned this, Mara. You've done the work. You've built the relationship. You've delivered results. The only thing standing between you and the recognition you deserve is a man who's threatened by your competence. Her voice is firm now, decisive. I'm not going to let that continue. Not when my business is on the line. After we hang up, I sit in the empty office, trying to process what just happened. Vivian is going to the CEO. She's going to demand that I lead the account. She's going to force the agency to choose between keeping their biggest client and protecting Richard's ego. And I have no idea what will happen when they make that choice. I pack up my things and head home, my mind spinning with possibilities and fears. What if the agency sides with Richard? What if they decide I'm not worth the trouble? What if this backfires and I end up losing my job entirely? But underneath the fear, there's something else. Something that feels dangerously like hope. Maybe I'm not replaceable after all. Maybe my work matters. Maybe I deserve more than a desk in the corner and a boss who diminishes everything I do. The next morning, I arrive at the office to find an email waiting for me. It's from Catherine Morrison, the agency's CEO, a woman I've met exactly twice in 2 years, both times at company-wide meetings. Mara, please come to my office at AM. Catherine, my stomach drops. This is it. Vivian made her call. I spend the next 30 minutes trying to focus on work and failing completely. At 8:55, I walk to the executive floor. I sit down at the desk. Vivian is sitting there, her face flushed. She looks at me, her eyes wide. She says, "Mara, I want to talk to you." I where Catherine's office overlooks the city from the corner of the building. Her assistant waves me in. Catherine is on the phone but gestures for me to sit. She's in her early 50s, with gray hair cut in a sharp bob and the kind of presence that makes you sit up straighter without realizing it. She ends her call and turns her full attention to me. "Mara, thank you for coming up." "Of course." I had an interesting conversation with Vivian Chen yesterday afternoon. Catherine leans back in her chair, studying me. She told me that Lumina Cosmetics wants to restructure their contract. They want you as lead strategist on their account, with full creative authority. They're willing to increase their retainer by 20% to make it happen. I don't know what to say, so I say nothing. She also told me that if we can't accommodate this request, they'll be looking for a new agency. Catherine's expression is unreadable. That's a significant ultimatum. Lumina is our second largest client. Losing them would be problematic. I didn't ask her to do that. I say quickly, I didn't ask for any of this. I know. That's what makes it interesting. Catherine pulls up something on her computer. I've been reviewing your work. Your client retention rate is 98%. Your accounts have the highest engagement metrics in the agency. You've brought in 3 new clients through referrals in the past year alone. She looks at me over her reading glasses. And yet you're classified as a mid-level social media manager, making $60,000 a year. Does that seem right to you? I don't know. It's not right. It's absurd. She closes her laptop. Richard has been taking credit for your work. I suspected it, but I didn't have proof until Vivian's call yesterday. She was very specific about who developed which strategies, who managed which crises, who built the relationships that keep Lumina coming back. My face flushes. Richard is the creative director. He oversees nothing. He shows up to meetings, takes credit, and collects a salary 3 times yours. Catherine's voice is sharp now, angry. And apparently he's been telling you you're replaceable. Is that true? I nod, not trusting my voice. Well, he's wrong. You're not replaceable. You're essential. She stands and walks to the window, looking out at the city. Here's what's going to happen. Effective immediately, you're being promoted to senior strategist. Your salary is increasing to $95,000, with performance bonuses tied to client retention and growth. You'll report directly to me, not to Richard. I can't breathe. I don't understand. It's simple. You do excellent work. The clients love you. You make this agency money. She turns back to face me. And I'm not going to lose you or Lumina because Richard's ego can't handle being outperformed by someone he spent 2 years undermining. What about Richard? Richard will be reassigned to new business development, where his skills are better suited. He'll no longer oversee existing accounts. Her expression is cool, professional. He won't be happy about it, but that's not your problem. That's mine. I sit there, stunned, as Catherine outlines the details, my new responsibilities, my new team, the accounts I'll be managing. It's everything I've wanted but never dared to ask for. Why? I finally ask. Why are you doing this? Catherine sits back down, her expression softening slightly. Because I built this agency from nothing 20 years ago. I know what it's like to be underestimated, to have your work dismissed, to be told you're replaceable when you're actually indispensable. She meets my eyes, and because keeping talented people is how businesses succeed. Richard forgot that. I won't make the same mistake. When I leave her office, I feel like I'm floating. The hallway seems brighter, the air lighter. Everything has changed in the span of 30 minutes. I take the elevator back down to my floor, and as the doors open, I see Richard standing by my desk, his face dark with anger. He's already heard. My office, he says. Now. But I don't move, because I don't report to him anymore. Actually, I say, my voice steady. I have work to do. If you need to speak with me, you can schedule time through my calendar. His face goes red. You think this changes anything? You think one promotion makes you important? People are watching now. The entire office pretending not to listen while hanging on every word. I say carefully, that the client asked for me by name, and that matters more than what you think of me. I walk past him to my desk, my temporary desk, since apparently I'll be moving to a new office by the end of the week, and I sit down and open my laptop. Richard stands there for a moment, speechless, before turning and walking away. Jessica appears beside me instantly. Oh my God, What just happened? I got promoted, I say, and saying it out loud makes it real. Senior strategist, reporting to Catherine. She squeals and hugs me, and suddenly other people are gathering around Tom, and Sarah from accounts, and even Mark from finance. They're congratulating me, asking questions, celebrating in a way that makes me realize something important. They all knew I was doing more than Richard gave me credit for. They saw it, even if they couldn't say it. My phone buzzes. A text from Vivian. Heard the news. Congratulations. You earned this. I text back. Thank you for everything. Her response comes immediately. Thank you for proving that talent matters more than titles. Now let's make this campaign legendary. I smile and get to work. And for the first time in 2 years, I'm not working from a place of fear or insecurity or the need to prove myself. I'm working because I'm good at this, because I love this, because I have something valuable to offer, and because I'm not replaceable. I never was. The following week passes in a strange blur of transition. I move from my corner desk to an actual office, small, but with a window and a door that closes. My new business cards arrive. Mara Sullivan, senior strategist. Catherine introduces me to clients I've worked with for months but never met face to face, reframing me as their strategic lead rather than just a person who posts their content. Richard avoids me entirely. He's been moved to a different floor, reassigned to pitching new clients rather than managing existing ones. I hear through office gossip that he's furious, that he threatened to quit, that Catherine told him he was welcome to leave if he felt the new structure didn't suit him. He stayed, but his resentment hangs in the air like smoke. On Friday afternoon, I'm in my new office reviewing campaign analytics when Jessica knocks on my door frame. You have a visitor, she says, grinning. In the lobby, I'm not expecting anyone. I follow her to the reception area, and there's Vivian Chen, standing by the windows in an impeccably tailored suit, looking completely out of place and entirely comfortable at the same time. Vivian, I cross the lobby quickly. Is everything okay? Did something happen with the campaign? Everything's perfect. The campaign launches Monday, and my team is thrilled. She smiles. I'm actually here because I wanted to talk to you in person. Do you have a few minutes? We go to a nearby coffee shop, the same one where I met Jennifer Ross weeks ago, for a different conversation that changed everything. Vivian orders a cappuccino and waits until we're seated before speaking. I'm going to be direct, she says. I want to offer you a job. I blink, certain I misheard. I'm sorry. A job? At Lumina. As our director of brand strategy and digital marketing, she pulls out her phone and shows me a formal job description. It's a newly created position. You'd be building the department from the ground up, reporting directly to our CMO. The salary is $140,000, plus equity and full benefits. I stare at the screen. The number's not quite making sense. That's more than double what I'm making now. You're worth it. You've proven that. Vivian sets down her phone. Mara, I've watched you work for 18 months. You understand our brand better than anyone outside the company, better than some people inside the company. You think strategically, you execute flawlessly, and you genuinely care about the work. That's rare. That's valuable. But I just got promoted. Catherine took a risk on me. I can't just leave. I understand loyalty. I respect it. Vivian sips her coffee. But I also want you to understand what you're worth in the market. Not what one agency decided to pay you after a client threatened to leave, but what your actual skills and experience command. You could be making twice what you're making now. You could be leading teams instead of just managing accounts. You could be building something from scratch instead of fighting for recognition in someone else's structure. My mind is racing. A week ago, I was being called replaceable. Now I'm being offered a position that would transform my entire career trajectory. I need to think about it, I say. Of course. Take your time. Vivian slides a folder across the table. Here's the full offer package. Read it over. Talk to whoever you need to talk to. The position doesn't officially exist yet, so there's no rush. But I wanted you to know that you have options, Mara. You always have options. After she leaves, I sit in the coffee shop for a long time, staring at the folder without opening it. Part of me wants to dismiss the offer immediately. I just got promoted. Oh, Catherine, for believing in me. Leaving now would be disloyal. But another part that's been growing stronger since that morning in the conference room when Richard called me replaceable whispers something different. You don't owe anyone your future. You don't owe anyone your potential. You only owe yourself the chance to become everything you're capable of being. I take the folder home and spend the weekend reading through it. The position is everything Vivian described: challenging, creative, strategic. I'd be building campaigns from concept to execution, managing a team, shaping the brand's entire digital presence. It's the kind of role I didn't think I'd have for another 5 years, maybe 10. On Monday morning, I arrive at the office early, the way I always do. But instead of going to my desk, I go straight to Catherine's office. Her assistant isn't in yet, but Catherine she's always here before everyone else. I knock on her open door. "Mara, come in." She looks up from her computer, reading glasses perched on her nose. "What can I do for you?" I sit down, the folder in my lap. "I need to tell you something. Vivian Chen offered me a job, Director of Brand Strategy at Lumina." Catherine's expression doesn't change, but I see something flicker in her eyes, not surprise, but resignation. "I see. When did this happen?" "Friday. She came to the office." "And what did you say?" "I said I needed to think about it, but I wanted to talk to you first. Before I made any decision." I take a breath. "You took a chance on me. You promoted me when you didn't have to. You restructured the entire department to make space for me to grow. I don't want you to think I'm ungrateful." Catherine removes her glasses and sets them on her desk. "Mara, let me tell you something I learned a long time ago. Gratitude and ambition aren't mutually exclusive. You can be grateful for an opportunity and still recognize when a better opportunity comes along. But I just started this position. I haven't even proven you've already proven yourself. That's why Vivian wants to hire you." She leans back in her chair. "Can I ask what you're inclined to do?" I hesitate, then decide on honesty. "I think I want to take it. The role is everything I've been working toward. And working directly for a brand instead of through an agency, I'd have more control, more creative freedom, more impact." "Then you should take it." I stare at her. "Really? Really?" Catherine smiles, and it's genuine. "Mara, I promoted you because you deserved it and because I didn't want to lose you. But I'm not going to hold you back from an opportunity that's clearly right for you. That would make me no better than Richard keeping talented people small because it serves my interests." My eyes burn with unexpected tears. "Thank you for everything, for seeing me when no one else did. I didn't see you. You made yourself visible by doing excellent work." She stands and extends her hand. "Go build something amazing. And when Lumina needs an agency partner for projects you can't handle in-house, I hope you'll think of us." I shake her hand, and we both know this is goodbye, not immediately, but soon. I'll give proper notice, transition my accounts, make sure nothing falls through the cracks. But my future is no longer here. My future is something I'm choosing, not something someone else is allowing me to have. That afternoon, I call Vivian and accept the position. We agree on a start date 6 weeks out, giving me time to wrap up my work at the agency and take a brief vacation before diving into the new role. When I tell Jessica, she cries and hugs me and tells me she's proud of me. When I tell Tom and the others, they congratulate me with genuine warmth. When word spreads through the office, people I barely know stop by to wish me well. Richard, predictably, says nothing, but I see him watching from across the floor, his expression unreadable. On my last day at the agency, Catherine throws a small goodbye gathering in the conference room, the same room where Richard called me replaceable 6 weeks ago. There's cake and coffee and short speeches about my contributions. Mara came to us as a social media coordinator, Catherine says to the assembled team. She's leaving as one of the most talented strategists I've had the privilege of working with. She taught us something important: that title and talent aren't the same thing. That the person doing the work often isn't the person getting the credit. And that when we're smart enough to recognize excellence, we need to be brave enough to reward it. She presents me with a framed print, a quote from Maya Angelou. "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." You told your story, Catherine says quietly, just to me. Not with words, but with work. And everyone heard it. As I'm packing up my office that evening, boxing up books and files and the few personal items I've accumulated, Richard appears in my doorway. "Congratulations," he says, and his tone is flat, perfunctory. Thank you. He doesn't leave. He stands there, hands in his pockets, looking uncomfortable. Finally, he speaks again. I underestimated you. It's not an apology. It's barely an acknowledgement, but it's something. Yes, I say simply, you did. For what it's worth. You're good at this. Better than I wanted to admit. He shifts his weight. I should have supported you instead of trying to keep you in a box. Yes, I say again, you should have. He nods once, then turns and walks away. It's not closure, not really. But it's enough. I finish packing and take one last look at the office, my office. For 6 brief weeks. The space where I finally became visible, where I finally claimed the recognition I'd earned. Then I turn off the lights and leave. 3 weeks later, I start at Lumina Cosmetics. My office is on the 15th floor of their headquarters in downtown Los Angeles, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. My title is on the door. My team, 3 talented people I'll be hiring over the next month, is waiting to be built. On my first day, Vivian walks me through the building, introducing me to department heads and executives. Everyone knows who I am. Everyone knows what I did with their fall campaign, which launched to record engagement and is already being studied as a case study in authentic brand marketing. This is Mara Sullivan, Vivian says again and again, our new director of brand strategy. She's going to transform how we think about digital marketing. Not she's going to help us or she'll be supporting our efforts. She's going to transform. That evening, I stand at my office window, watching the sunset over Los Angeles, and I think about the journey that brought me here. From a corner desk where I was invisible to an office with my name on the door. From being called replaceable to being recruited for my irreplaceability. My phone buzzes. A text from Jessica. How's the first day? I smile and type back. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Another text. This one from my mother. So proud of you, honey. You've worked so hard for this. And one more. From a number I don't immediately recognize. Then I realize it's Marcus, the intern who started at the agency the week before I left. I'd spent time mentoring him, showing him the ropes, encouraging him the way no one had encouraged me. Thank you for everything you taught me. You showed me that good work speaks for itself. That's a lesson I'll never forget. I set down my phone and look out at the city again, at all the lights coming on as darkness falls, each one representing someone with a story, someone with potential, someone who might be sitting at a desk right now wondering if they matter. And I think about what I would tell them. If I could, you matter. Your work matters. And if someone tells you you're replaceable, prove them wrong. Not with words, but with excellence. Not with ego, but with impact. Not by demanding recognition, but by doing work so good that recognition becomes inevitable. And when that recognition comes, when the client asks for you by name, when the opportunity finds you, when your value becomes undeniable, don't apologize for it. Don't minimize it. Don't let anyone convince you that you don't deserve it. You do deserve it. You always did. I turn away from the window and sit down at my desk, in my office, in my new role that I earned through years of quiet excellence and one moment of undeniable proof. And I get to work. Because that's what I do. That's who I am. Not replaceable. Never replaceable. Essential.